And despite overtures in the Queen's speech to the language of human rights, the UK's proclaimed commitment to freedom of speech, human rights and the rule of law appears not to extend to allied governments in the Gulf. It's not just what you say, it's also what we do now and how we build on that that matters. The UK provides Bahrain with a multi-million-pound technical assistance fund of £5 million since 2012 without any accountability, and has routinely refused to disclose the beneficiaries or implementers of the programme. Since 2017, the technical assistance has been channelled through the secretive Integrated Activity Fund, and the government constantly refuses to disclose how it's spent. This is particularly concerning as technical assistance to Bahrain has failed to prevent significant rises in the death sentence and executions, the restriction of freedom of expression, and increased attacks against human rights defenders and dissidents. Tomorrow, the Bahraini death row inmates, Mohammed Ramadan and Hussein Musa, are due to receive a final verdict in a case review after their death sentences were overturned when evidence emerged indicating that they were brutally tortured into providing confessions. This appeal was granted only after it became evident that the UK-funded human rights oversight body had actively concealed evidence that the men were tortured, a position that the FCO initially accepted. Britain's commitment to freedom of expression also appears to wane when it comes to our friends in the Gulf. Bahrain's most prominent human rights defender, Nabil Rajib, continues to languish in prison on a 5-year sentence for criticising the government on Twitter, after being denied a non-custodial sentence. Even Bahrainians abroad are not safe. The family of the UK-based human rights defender Syed Ahmed Al-Wadi has been targeted through torture and imprisonment in reprisal for his work. Similarly to Nabil Rajab, Mr Al-Wadi's mother-in-law, Hajar Masur, has repeatedly been denied an alternative sentence without justification and is currently being held in effective solitary confinement. The UK has failed to take substantive action in each one of these cases. Not only have ministers dismissed concerns by parliamentarians, they've also relied on assurances of the Bahraini government and directed victims to the very oversight bodies funded by the UK taxpayer that have been complicit in whitewashing human rights abuses. Furthermore, the government has consistently failed to effectively monitor human rights impacts of their support in Bahrain, both before and after the implementation of training programmes. While the FCO is legally mandated to perform an overseas security justice assistance assessment before providing any training, recent freedom of information requests indicate that on a number of occasions this has not been conducted. Equally, there is no evidence to suggest that the British government has implemented measures to monitor the efficacy of this technical assistance to Bahrain, rendering it little more than a convenient illusion of reform. So could I ask the Minister, when will the government reveal how public money is being spent in Bahrain on this Integrated Activity Fund? How will the government monitor the effectiveness of their programmes to ensure that taxpayers' money is not actively contributing to human rights abuses in Bahrain and the wider Gulf region? So before the government talks about new powers on human rights and policy, as welcome as they are, they must start enacting existing policy to ensure that human rights abuses are not conducted when funded by British taxpayer money. If the UK is going to have real moral authority and able to use its soft power effectively to make the world a better place, it will have to start doing so in a way that is more open and transparent. It will have to be more careful on who it chooses as its friends and what it uses taxpayers' money for in trying to strengthen institutions abroad, and be more strident in standing up to those who abuse human rights and not just follow trade deals as the first priority.